Hello everyone. Today we are making our own little zine. Zine comes from the word magazine. Zines can be comic books, they can be short stories, but the one that we're making today is going to be a little recipe book. And when we fold it out, it will become a poster, so a multifunctional zine. The materials that you need will be 2 sheets of paper. You can use more if you want to sketch out more, an eraser, a pencil, a pair of scissors. If you have it, a fine liner, but you can also use a ballpoint pen, but even that's not necessary, and at least 4 different colors. You fold your piece of paper vertically once and then make sure that you fold it back and forth. The reason to do that is to make sure that your paper will really fold well, because that's really necessary. We'll see that later. Fold your paper over vertically, horizontally, and then you will fold it vertically once through the middle, as you can see here on both sides. So you will end up with 8 little rectangles. And then you will fold your paper vertically, and we'll make a little cut just in the middle there. No further, no less, just there. First you fold it horizontally, and when you push the ends together where you've cut open the paper, it should create a little diamond shape. And when you push that fully together, now you can see you've got a zine. So just kind of flip through it, fold your paper fully so the paper becomes more flexible. It will be a bit harder to fold in the beginning, so this is why we double folded it. Now we're going to actually start dividing up the pages. On this mock version, I'm writing down where the cover, the back is, and all the pages. So there will be a front of the zine, there will be a back of the zine, and then 6 more pages to actually write down the steps of the recipe. So what kind of recipe you want to make is completely up to you. You can maybe ask your parents if they know a recipe, maybe your grandparents have a recipe for your favorite dish, or maybe a friend. It's completely up to you. If you even want to make up a recipe, go for it. A little tip for drawing foods: it helps to put them into context to actually know what they are. So for example, for salt, it's good to maybe put them in a bowl. For sugar, it's good to maybe put them in a packaging with sugar cane on it, or maybe some candy next to it. And also for butter, it's just a blob of yellow. So if you draw a cow next to it, we know that a cow gives milk and a milk makes butter. So it's good to kind of put things right next to each other. If you find it really difficult, you can also write it next to it. Okay, sketch time. So do have a little moment to draw out some of the things that will be most in your little zine. So I'll be drawing lots of bananas. How do I draw a cake? I want to try that out. And maybe what the cake looks like on the plate. Sugar, I've decided I might want to put a little plant, a bit of sugar cane next to it. And flour, I have to say, I can't help myself but make a lame little joke there. I have to draw a little flower on the flower. So it might be that you want some nice clean lines. So if you sketch something out with a pencil and it's not the lines you want, and you want some more permanent lines, you can either do that with a ballpoint pen or with a fine liner. Now, if you do it with a ballpoint pen, really let it dry for a while. Ballpoint pen will actually kind of when you rub it out with an eraser, the pencil underneath, it will very likely go everywhere. Same with fine liner, just make sure things are dry. And the thinner your paper as well, the lines might show up on the other side. So have a little check how thick are your lines, does the ink come out on the other side? Because you are working on both sides of the same paper. So just double check that real quick. That's what sketching is for. Now, we're not just sketching out the actual food items, it's also good to actually sketch out the layout. There is a layout involved, which is the entire piece of paper, but you have to put everything in place. So I'm drawing both a horizontal and a vertical rectangle, and the horizontal one I'm dividing up in the 8 rectangles. That will be all the pages. And I have my example page, so I'll write down which is which page, and I will just kind of write down how I want everything and where I want it. So seeing as I am making a recipe for a banana loaf, I will want a banana in there and fireworks above my cake. This is what I'm going for. And I am just checking the recipe that I'm using. Do I want to do all the steps? I have made banana loaf many times, and some things I might want to change a little bit. So I just kind of start sketching out of every page what I want to be there. Step 1 is about the oven. Step 2 is start putting in some ingredients and mixing in more and more. So I'm just having a look really quickly where I want things to be. It's kind of like drawing stick puppets, but then with food. Now, I'm writing down my recipe step for step, but if you have a bit more of a comic idea in mind how you want to do this, I will be here cheering you on because that would be amazing. You don't have to do it exactly as how I'm doing it. If you have a very strong idea of how you want to do it, go for it. And for my ingredient list, I will have a very big title saying banana loaf. And then you can see that I'm using 2 different handwritings. It's often very nice is that you use 2 different kind of handwritings because that allows you to indicate 2 different things. It will be a strong title and then something else is written in something slightly different in a different way, and it kind of grabs your attention a little bit. So I'm making use of that. So this is how I'm setting it up. I have to say, maybe I should have made a little superhero story about a banana who maybe does not want it to be made into a banana loaf. Or, or maybe it could have been a story about a banana puppy. That makes the best banana loaf ever. In the end, if you're able to kind of show how the recipe is made, that's the most important, but however you do it, that's up to you. Now we're actually gonna transfer our sketch onto the actual paper. With a very light pencil lines, I will start drawing in where I want everything to be. Be careful that you don't press down the pencil too hard because it will be harder to rub out the lines. The preparation, the sketching out of everything might feel like it might take a bit longer, but in the end, it's really going to be incredibly helpful for when you make the final drawings. I'm not actually putting in the text, but I'm just putting down where I know that I want the drawings to be, so later I can write everything there. I've got the space to put down the full text of what to do. If you're a bit nervous about writing down the text, then of course you can do that in your sketching as well. Now I will be going over my drawings with a fine liner to get some of the clear, crisp lines for all of my drawings. If you want to do this all with coloring pencils, that's absolutely fine. This is just kind of how I like to work. And one of the things as well with recipes, it is good if there's clear drawings of what the food items are, so there can be no confusion about what you're cooking with. Because, I don't think you'd want to confuse an egg with a football. I think there is a difference in tastiness there. And sugar and sand maybe is also not something that you want to confuse. Unless if you're making mud pie. Not going to judge. But it is important that your illustrations communicate what they need to be. And that you can do with either the drawings or putting text next to it. So I'm first going over everything with a fine liner. Here and there I'm putting in some coloring pencils, and when it's all dry, I'm rubbing out the lines. And lastly, I'm filling in the illustrations with coloring pencils. I'm just showing you my process so you can have a look at how I'm doing it. But again, it's up to you how you want to do this. So now again, let's have a look. How do we fold this? Always fold it with the recipe with the zine on the outside. Never fold it with the poster on the outside, because that means that the poster will become the zine. So always make sure that you've got the illustrations for your magazine on the outside. So you fold it horizontally in half, you push the ends together so that all the pages come out, and then you fold it so that your cover is on the outside. And ta-da! You have made your own zine. Thank you for having a look today, and I cannot wait to see what you all come up with.